All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to check out the new 2021 Kia K5. So who do we have to thank for this opportunity? Well, it is actually University Kia in Durham, North Carolina. So if you're interested in a Kia or really any vehicle, because they have an extensive amount of certified pre-owned cars, whatever, you can purchase a vehicle here, and please contact my man C. That's the name he goes by, so I'm going to leave all of his information down in the description box below. But with that established, let's go ahead and get this bad boy out on the road, because I have been meaning to test drive this car for some time now. So this vehicle, right? I guess first of all, let's start out with the looks of this thing. This is one of the sleekest, best looking Kias to come out. You know, after the Stinger, I think this thing looks phenomenal. Now, it has a little bit more of a bulbous look to it, and that's because it's a practical vehicle still, you know. It's not like an Audi A7, but unlike an Audi A7, this has far more space in the rear, you know, for occupants and in the trunk, as we're about to see. But I like what they did with the shark face and all that good stuff. You know, it's still a tiger nose grille, but you know, they injected a lot of emotional design cues. You know, I'm very just excited with what kind of the mid-size car segment has become, because there's so many SUV freaks out in the world that the mid-size cars have surprisingly got very exciting. So that's pretty cool. So, you know, you can make your own decisions about, you know, how this car looks. I personally just love this particular model. If I was going to buy a Kia K5, this is the exact model and trim I'd go with for both price, value, options, looks, all that, including the motor, which is the 1.6 liter. So let's get into some of those driving aspects now. This motor is that 1.6 liter direct injected turbo motor, but as we all know with Kia products, you know, they come with a decade-long warranty, so that's phenomenal. But this is the motor that produces about 180 horsepower and about 195 pounds-feet of torque. Now, I love this motor. I've experienced this motor multiple times with the Hyundai Veloster R-Spec, and I love that car, as well as the Kia Soul. The engine is very linear, and I love that. Another thing, this car is also fitted with the 8-speed automatic. The traditional 8-speed that Kia is known for, and they built themselves, right? Why do I like this trim? I know there's some, you know, insane 5.8 second, 2.5 liter turbo engine that's supposed to come out. The reason why I'm not super interested in that model is because A, it's going to cost more money, obviously, but also I'm sure there's going to be a lot of torque steer with that car and all that good stuff, because let's be honest, they're probably not going to use a limited slip diff in that car, and that's fine. Another thing, this model is available with all-wheel drive. This is the front-wheel drive model, but the thrust is still effortless in this car. You know, it's not a rocket ship, but it doesn't need to be for a street car, and I really appreciate that with this vehicle. That's why I like the 1.6 liter. It does give you all that thrust up front, so it's a great kind of city, kind of, you know, punchy vehicle, but it will kind of bottom out because, again, you know, it only has about 180 horsepower, so that's okay. I think for most people, the way that most people drive, this is going to be more than enough. It's just like you can't have your ideologies wrong here. I mean, I know it looks very sleek and all that good stuff, but it's not a sports sedan, so don't think that it is. Just go into this knowing that it is a phenomenal cruiser car, very comfortable. This is a GT line with 18-inch wheels. You can get a model with 16-inch wheels. That car is going to ride like butter, because this car already is. So you can imagine what this car is going to be like with 16-inch wheels. Tires are going to be cheaper, all that good stuff. So, but you know, obviously, you know, it's a stylish-looking car. I want the, you know, slightly larger wheels. I don't need the 19s or anything like that. These will suffice. That's why I really like this particular trim model and everything that comes with this. You know, everything about this car is 1,000% just natural feeling. There is no issues with this car driving this. You know, steering is a little bit on the lighter side, but it's so precise. There's just no issues with this car. And I will say, you know, dynamically, the Honda cars, they're still some of the best in the game. But it's just like, this is going to undercut a Honda while still being great. So everything's natural. Nothing feels weird. Now I step on the throttle here. You have a nice gushing sensation of power. Nothing too ridiculous, you know, it just feels effortless for just that city street driving. The only place where I'm going to see some form of deficiency is going to be out on the highway, where, you know, you're going to be traveling at greater speeds. But you have to keep in mind, this is the N3 platform for the Kia K5. So a whole new platform. This car is lower, wider, all that good stuff. They're using a little bit of aluminum now for the suspension. Still, you know, strut-based suspension up front and a multi-link in the rear, which is absolutely fine. That's right in line with the class. But the kind of biggest thing that Kia wanted to focus here, because this is, let's be honest, is the same platform as the new Hyundai Sonata. This is a lot quieter than the Hyundai Sonata, actually, which is what I noticed, and still very direct, nothing too ridiculous. But you do have a few, drive modes here you can play with. I'll put in the sport mode. All it's really going to do is kind of throw you into a lower gear. It's about it. Turning circle is absolutely phenomenal with this car. It's the practical things that nobody really talks about. It's a very easy car to drive, even though it's a larger vehicle than the previous Optimus. This is still an easy car to just whip around town. Probably overtake this guy. Did a bit of a overtaking maneuver right there, don't mind that. But this car smoothly got up to speed. It does have a little bit more of that peeling sensation. It's a lot better than the Hyundai Santa Fe that I drove. The Hyundai Santa Fe felt like it was peeling out everywhere. This is a little bit more controlled. Again, they did work on the suspension a little bit more for this model year. Of course, a little bit more aluminum being used, a little bit more of an advanced setup, if you will. It doesn't quite have the same level of chassis as a Honda Accord or anything like that, but then again, it doesn't cost nearly as much, especially optioned up the way that it is. It's still corners, and that's exactly what I'm saying. For this price point, for the level of comfort, for the way that this car is lowering my blood pressure, which is exactly what I said about the Sonata, this is just unmatched. And why these are kind of like the benchmark vehicles for me in the class. I'm not just saying that, just be saying it. This is truly just, if you're confused, and I said this with the Santa Fe, if you're confused with what car to buy because there's just so much competition now, Hyundai, Kia, this is the best place to kind of start off with, because they offer everything that you pretty much need for the price and for a street car that's practical out on the road. Because most importantly for me, with any road car, first and foremost, I don't care what car it is, I need it to be comfortable, and that's what this car is. This is actually more comfortable, I feel like, than a Honda Accord or similarly equipped other vehicles. This is just doing a great job with the ride quality, and that's what I really like. I appreciate just how quiet this vehicle is. That's another thing. It's great. You hardly even feel like you're getting up to speed there, so I really like that. Now, of course, this car is outfitted with every single safety option you can pretty much think of, lane keep assist, blind spot, all that good stuff. So again, easy car to drive. You don't have to worry about that. But, I kept mentioning price often in this with this car review, and that's great. But honestly, it's just a good car, period. Not even factoring in price. This car is just great just the way that it is. There's no compromises. I have no real issues with this car. And, these cars have come a long way, the mid-size cars. The mid-size cars, like everyday normal cars, have just come such a long way. And, if you wanted more, you can get more with this car. Again, all-wheel drive, that's a great little option to have. But even with the front-wheel drive, this is not too ridiculous. It peels out a little bit, but it's not too bad. You're not going to be driving like that with this car anyway. But I do like how all-wheel drive is an option. If you need to be a complete freak show, you can get that 2.5 liter. That is available too. It does do 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. I mean, that's pretty damn good. I mean, there's some sports cars that aren't even that fast. So if that spec sheets matter to you, well, there you go. So I'll launch it here from, I'm still in the sport mode, still peeling out there a little bit, but that's part of the fun, right? A little bit of torque steer here and there, right? That's part of what gives these kind of front wheel drive cars its own little characteristic, right? Another thing you have to keep in mind, very important, this is a turbo model car. So most turbo engines I have experienced get terrible fuel economy. One thing I've noticed with Kia Hyundai's turbo engines, they get phenomenal fuel economy, even when you're pounding it around just like I am right now. Dude, these things will easily get 30 plus mpg out of the highway. Now, I get it, most turbo cars on paper they look really good, but this isn't just good on paper. This is actually good, like, real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll easily begin like 20 city and 30s on the highway. That's not remotely going to be an issue with these vehicles, and they do take regular fuel, so that's another great thing. I'm really just liking the steering feel. It's such an easy car to drive. Sure, there's roll with the with the body of this car, but that's okay. So that kind of plush, kind of rolly nature, that's what gives it like this very comfortable ride quality. So you got to appreciate that. At a stop, brakes, another great thing. It gives you enough stopping power. Nothing is too ridiculous here. Everything is just programmed, dialed in perfectly for a casual street drive. Just don't go into this thing in some kind of insane sports sedan or anything like that. It looks like that, but it's primarily a cruiser. If you can appreciate it for that, then you are going to absolutely love driving this car. 10-year warranty, you're going to be satisfied owning this thing for 10 years. So That's the great thing about this car. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior, because there's a lot of other great things to talk about here. So, much like with most Hyundai Kia products, they are well put together, very solid. You know, there are some plastics being used, however, everything is solid in here. I said this about the Sonata as well, the new hybrid Sonata I drove. I did not drive like a 1.6 liter or whatever with the Sonata, but I love the hybrid version of that. The interior is different here. I actually like the interior of this car more because there's a lot less going on. So a lot of people are complaining, oh, it doesn't have like the full LCD touch panel, gauge cluster or whatever, and all that good stuff. I like that. I like how this is far more simplistic. For a person like me, this is far easier to get used to. It's not as complicated or whatever. The gear lever, it's not like a little button thing like they did with the Acura RLX or like the Sonata. This is actually like a traditional gear lever, which I love. Steering wheel, the perfect size, and because it's a GT line, it has the flat bottom steering wheel. It's a nice little touch. I'm not gonna lie. You know, you live with the car every day. It's a nice little thing to, you know, grip onto and feel the little, you know what I'm saying, the flat bottomness. But, you know, practically the flat bottom steering wheel, it will help with kind of larger individuals kind of get in and out of the car a little bit easier, slightly, you know, but a little practical touch there. Love the kind of window switches in this car. It feels of quality. I like that. But also you have one touch up and down windows just for the front two windows here, not for the rear, but it's okay, at least it has it. So that's pretty good. Very thick glass. They are using some type of acoustic laminated glass throughout the entire cabin. It is showing because, like I mentioned, it is quieter than the Sonata I tested. So I really like that. These are the things that you can appreciate on an everyday basis, not some insane spec sheet car that does 0 to 60 in 1 second. These are the practical things that I look forward to in a vehicle. The quietness, the comfort, lowering my blood pressure, that's what I want in a daily driver. And, you know, it helps that it looks cool and all that good stuff. So I like that. I like the size of the mirrors, all that stuff is very easy to see out of, so I appreciate all that good stuff. These seats, they're kind of like a hybrid between like a cloth seat in the middle and like this kind of fake leather all around. I can tell this seat is going to age extremely well. Now, most importantly, it's extremely comfortable. So it has like the little GT line embossed, and it really keeps me in place. I really appreciate the seat a lot, especially since, you know, the chassis isn't the greatest. I mean, it does kind of roll around a little bit, so like these kind of seats kind of help you stay in place, but also not get insanely hot in the middle here because it's a cloth seat. So that's great. That's smart. I like that. Now the doors are a great size, but also has a nice hefty feel to it. You know what I'm saying? It's a kind of a great size. You know, open and close it, feels great. Has a nice tight feeling inside of this cabin space. Again, you know, like I'm saying, normal cars have come a long way, man, so I appreciate that. You know, you have your lane departure thing. You can turn that on and off here. You have trash control off. I'll probably keep it on, honestly, because, you know, again, don't drive it insanely. Just, you know, drive it as a cruiser. You have your trunk release right here, and it does actually open all the way. It doesn't just crack open, so I like that. I'll talk about that in a bit. I love how they do this. This climate control, totally separated. It has its own little screen right there. Its own little, you know what I'm saying, fan speeds, all completely separated from the screen. I love that. It's so non-distracting and just easy to use, intuitive. Again, another thing that you appreciate when you live with the car every single day. Again, this screen, infotainment, I've always said this about Kia and Hyundai. Best infotainment, super easy to use. Again, that's why I like this car a little bit more than the Sonata, because the infotainment is kind of like their more old school infotainment, easier to use. And they have like, you know, they did a bunch of stuff where they have a wireless charging pad, right? Which they've improved the speed of. Also, it's kind of ventilated, the wireless phone charger, so it actually kind of cools down your phone, which is interesting. I have never seen that. And another thing, this car does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, it is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. BMW tried to do this, but this is far better, far more seamless. So, you know, again, more things that most people are going to appreciate with this car. Now, gauge cluster, let me talk about this. You have the nice traditional helper screen in the middle, which it's kind of what they were doing before, and it's so easy, intuitive, shows you some good information, your MPGs, all that good stuff, very easy to understand and learn. The new Sonata, like with the whole touchscreen thing, I'm sorry, not the touchscreen, the whole LCD thing, it was just so kind of cumbersome. There's a lot going on there, just too much for a car, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't need all that. It was a little bit difficult to get around to. This is easy, everything's easy. So automatic headlight switches, which is fantastic. I always love to see that. You still have your USB connectivity, of course. Nice two little cup holders here. The door pocket space could be a little bit bigger, but it's okay, I guess. The Center armrest, very large size. I like that, so that's pretty good. It's still a very practical car, and so is the glove box. Decent amount of space there, despite there being a huge book in there. Another thing I want to bring up, Kia, when they came out with the press launch of this car, they're saying that this is going to be a car that people are going to aspire to own, not just a practical car that just exists. It's going to be a car that people are going to aspire to own, and that's interesting because I kind of agree with that, because I can see that, younger, older, whatever you are, you're going to like this car. The appeal of this car is very good. It's not quite as outlandish as the Camry. It's just a nice kind of aggressive design cue all around, and I love the ergonomics of this thing. That's fantastic. This GT line comes with a full panoramic sunroof, which is nice. Kind of a very large kind of bezel-less mirror. That's another great thing. Let's talk about those back seats though. Dude, I am 5'11". Space is not even remotely an issue with these cars. I have so much space back there, it is stupid. It's almost like the Honda Accord. Actually, the Honda Accord is one of the largest cars in the class. This is now too, actually. This is far larger than the Sonata, so despite it being on the same platform, so much more space back here, so I love that. And the trunk, that's another thing. I love the size of the trunk, dude. The opening is good. It's a very cavernous amount of space, and you have a spare tire in the back. So that's fantastic stuff there. All things I love to see with the car. So everything I need in a daily driver is here. You might be thinking, well, I'm really talking this thing up here. Again, it's not the best thing in the world. You have to go in here with the right mindset. This is a cool looking daily driver. That's what this is. It's not an M5 or anything like that. It's a cool looking, practical, spacious daily driver that gets good fuel economy despite it being a turbo engine, and you're covered under a decade-long warranty. That's the main thing. It has roll, it has body roll, it'll peel out a little bit still. It's made for the quiet, it's made for the comfort. If you can appreciate and understand that, enjoy the good technology. This car is right under $30,000, about $28,500, I believe, the way it's stickered. That's what's up. That's the price you need to get it at. Take advantage of their dealer discounts, all that good stuff, and enjoy this car. So another massive shout out to University Kia in Durham, North Carolina. I'm going to leave all their information down in the description box below, so if you want to take advantage of a slew of Kias, because this is one of the biggest dealerships I have ever seen, go ahead, hit up my guy C. All of his information is down in the description box below. But thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.